exactly their origin. For some time, we have been, by this media, bringing to the people of Amazonia to know their roots, just like we are clamoring for the root causes of where we are today to find out with La République du Cameroon. And those root causes can only be looked into when we come to the table. If we do not come to the table, I want to let you know that those root causes cannot be looked into except we come to the table. And now, when we come to the table, that is where we'll sit down and look at things. But like Ambazonians have known, and they are knowing right now, that the world in which we are living today is not better than the world of innocency. What do I mean? The world where an average human being at that time looked upon another human being as important as himself or as herself. There was an era, there was a time like that, that mutual respect to other human beings was the talk of the day. And just like in the innocency of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, God came down in the cool of the day to discuss with them. And this one day, he came down and discovered that the man whom he created in his own image made him a god on the planet Earth who gave names to everything, meaning he was a co-creator with God, had disobeyed. Just one single disobedience threw man off the pleasure, the enjoyment, and the benefits, fringe benefits, and profits that man had to enjoy on the face of the earth. And it was because his eyes got open. In our society today, in the world, a lot of people's eyes are getting open with what they call technology, which of course is the knowledge God gave them to exploit the earth. Their eyes are opening to what they call civilization, which of course is still God's purpose and plan for those of them that he created in his own image. And with all these advancements in technology, in science, in civilization, in economy, in exploration, and other technological advancements, man is continuously going depraved. That means becoming almost less than an animal. And I've overheard some people say that we are the higher mammal. No, we are not mammal of any type. No. Mammal. And to claim and to say that you are a mammal is the highest degradation, to degrade yourself, to be equal to a pig or to a dog, and you're just a little bit higher than a dog. No wonder men are doing that which dogs are doing, even worse than what dogs are doing today. Anyway, the subject of my talk today is to make Ambazonians know that at the beginning, when they were who they were, when the age of enlightenment started coming in, and explorers who claimed that they discovered Africa, who claimed that they discovered, some places in Africa, as though people were not living there. But just that the civilization that African man took over, I do not know, I cannot actually give the exact history of what happened, but everything that the Europeans, the Americans, And other nations have copied and have run very fast with it, started in Africa. And I can say that the birthplace of humans created by God was in the continent of Africa. But why Africa has accepted to go right back is what I cannot fathom. But as a child of God and as a historian, I can only put two and three together to figure out and to believe that the spiritual aspect that God expected from an African took it and turned it around and worshipped the creature more than the creator. And they were given up to a reprobate mind to the point that even what is theirs, they cannot actually handle it the way it's supposed to be handled. And we found ourselves in the mess in which we are today. And instead of trying to get out, we are getting deeper and deeper, where these people who came and distorted our belief in God and make themselves gods in the place of God have now reverted to their real plan. Remember, it is written that Satan himself has turned into an angel of light, because we are told that as Lucifer, he was the bright and morning star, beautiful with a wonderful voice. I'm coming to say that the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, to be where it is now, has its origin. And its origin was in the general consensus of Africans. Now, what I know is that in 1829, when the Europeans invaded Africa, they decided to fragment Africa. And the fragmentation, I believe God's hand was also there. The fragmentation was to make us to be in our identity profile. Because when we look around now, we will see that Ambazonia particularly has a peculiarity that is not comparable or compatible with any tribe in Nigeria. We have a peculiarity that is not compatible with any group of persons in La République du Cameroon. Possibly because of the mentality that these people acquire from where I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that Ambazonia, the former British Southern Cameroons, they used to call it, they also called it West Cameroon, and other terrible names that, were attributed to it. They are a peculiar people, very peculiar, and they are unique. And this uniqueness supposed to have been what we are actually anticipating to come back, because it was there before. You can imagine, 1929, the boundaries were drawn, and this particular country was carved out from the big portion and chunk of the African setting. And the peculiarities went up and went up until we had this very big misfortune. Do we actually call it a misfortune? Well, we shall be looking into that in the days ahead to see if it's actually a misfortune. But what I know is that a people that God wants to bless, sometimes they go through some very tough times and tough issues. And so our history started. And when at the end of the day, I would say that the League of Nations had a change of name to United Nations in around 1946. At that time, we have been terribly fragmented. And the Europeans were feeding on us like pests feed on the real thing, or like what we call mangri or parasites that grow on top of a tree, feed from that tree and never produces the fruit of that tree. So we saw the Europeans feeding on us and trying to divide us, classify us, and did everything to make sure that we became just like their pets, the dogs and cats that they are now using, dragging here with a rope on the neck and giving them what they want. Then came the time where a number of people, their eyes in Africa were again getting open because they had the first civilization but did not utilize it. I don't know what happened. And when they were re-civilized and their eyes started opening, it came to a point where the United Nations, now calling themselves United Nations, decided that countries in Africa that were slaves and stooges working for the European nations should gain their independence. Before that came, we were under the British rule, and the British had a very big chunk of the African nations around the west of Africa. You had Nigeria, you had Ghana, and you had a good number of other countries that were under the British supervision. And of course, in the course of that, 1953, 54, the Southern Cameroons walked out of the Enugu House of Assembly to which they were belonging under the British rule. Meanwhile, Northern Cameroons, because we had the Southern Cameroons and the Northern Cameroons, the Northern Cameroons were practically and typically having the same cultural views of Nigeria. And so they had to join the northern part of Nigeria before the independence of Nigeria, and they became independent together with Nigeria, and their boundaries were frozen because they signed. Here comes Southern Cameroons. Southern Cameroons, with its peculiarities, refused to be merged by any given group. And so, being attached to the East Central State of Nigeria at that time and working in the House of Parliament in Enugu, they decided to make a walkout and started a rule on their own. That was in 1954. And the Europeans, called United Nations, came together, because most of them were made up of Europeans, and said, let's give independence to these countries. And so resolutions were taken in the General Assembly of the United Nations to make sure that these African countries that have just been set free, have been released, have come to age, have come to maturity, they should go and manage their affairs. But as the human heart is wicked, and the Europeans who have been benefiting and feeding fat on the African people, some of them did not want to let go the African people for anything, good or bad, especially France. France now took a hold of their colonies. I want to let Ambazonians know that up till now, as we are talking here, November 14, 2023, in the French mind, African countries that you call countries are not really countries. They are the overseas colonies of France. And that's why before they vote any president, France must approve. And that's why before they get anybody into any ministerial position, France must approve. And that's why in most of the African countries that were under the French colony at that time were never totally, fully decolonized. But the France, being a very trickish mafia country, but France being a very smart, clever, clever is always used for the devil, right? Very clever a set of people, knowing that if they let go the African countries that they had found gold, milk, and honey that was feeding them, they were going to lose. They quickly ran into creating some how do you call them in accord, some agreements, or some agreements, some how do they call it? I've forgotten that very words that they call it. Anyway, so they decided to tie some of the African countries with some agreements, some oaths for them to remain under the control. And in the superficial, they say they have given them independence. And in the 1960s, when La République was to get their independence, there was this Ernest Wanji who was actually the man of the people. France had to eliminate him and handpicked Ahijo, who was a headmaster in a primary school or whatever. And Ahijo danced to their tune. And at that time, when Ahijo was dancing to their tune, the Ambazonian community and peoples under the leadership of Dr. A.M. Ndele were carrying out their democratical politics, whereby the majority vote brought the people or the person to power. They were practicing that. And when it came to La République independence, France handpicked Ahijo and imposed him as the president of La République du Cameroon. And the real people were killed. Well, it may not be Ernest Wanji. Ernest Wanji, I know he was one of the Andre Mbida, yeah, Andre Mbida. Andre Mbida, Marie Andre Mbida, if I'm not getting his name wrong, was the person that the people of La République du Cameroon were eyeing because he was a man of the people. But France eliminated him and brought in this Tuch, Ahijo. After Ahijo had served them for a number of years, and the cry of the people was touching his heart as he grew and as he saw the suffering of his people, he had compassion. And since the devil does not have compassion on anybody, the devil is wicked, so he decided to eliminate Ahijo and brought in this assistant devil, permit me to call him like that. But when he came, everybody was singing praises because, as I told you, Satan himself has transformed to be an angel of light. This guy was like an angel of light. I remember one of the languages he used to deceive the people of La République du Cameroon was rigor and moralization. But he became very, very immoral and became so loose that the effect of that came upon us. Well, he just started encroaching into our land and had to play some magic, had to play some games, which up till today, as a historian, I have not yet found out why in the world the only country that United Nations, knowing that they have their boundaries specifically different from Nigeria and La Republic of Cameroon, will on earth ask them to join, to become independent by joining either or. Now, when they said that either or, the people of Southern Cameroons had tasted of the lifestyle with the Nigerian affiliation. So they thought that, well, since no option is given to us, let's try these people called the French Cameroon. And you know, they pretended to be so good. Ahijo went to the UN, made 1,001 promises. Oh, we will be equal brothers. Oh, we will not do anything wrong, and blah, 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 blah. And remember, I told you, and you know, because most of you who are hearing me today, you know, when there is a visitor in the house, I want to kill a fowl. How do? You call all the fowls together, you throw corn, stand at the back of the door. As you're throwing the corn, the fowl will enter and enter. Piap, you close the door and no way to escape. That's what Ahijo and Paul Biya they did. But if you want to catch the fowl and you have a big stick in your hands to hit the fowl, they will all fly away. And of course, you will definitely catch them. But before you catch the fowl, you yourself would have done a race. Yes, you would have run. You would have run behind the fowl before you catch it. But it's a simple way of catching it. And human beings like somebody who is not harsh, who is coming like a savior. And so these people came to Ambazonia and pretended. And the biggest question that I still have concerning our history is, how on earth will the United Nations ask a country to become independent by joining another country, and even so will not follow up with what they were expected to do, knowing that human beings are by nature wicked? Yes. Now, many people have not realized that we are ruled by two spirits in this world. Whether you know it or you don't know it, ignorantly, you are living under the control of a particular spirit at a time. The spirit that makes you to misuse, underuse, destroy your fellow human being is a spirit of the devil. It's an evil spirit. And so many people are carrying that evil spirit. The spirit of dominance, the spirit of superiority, the spirit of I'm better than you, is a spirit of the devil. It's an evil spirit that unfortunately is controlling you. So I want to tell Ambazonians, if you are an Ambazonian and the first thing that strikes your mind is your ego, I want to let you know that you have an evil spirit. Doesn't matter who you are, you have an evil spirit. A spirit that tells you that if not you, let it spoil. It's an evil spirit. You may not know it. You don't know what to do, and you don't allow those who know what to do what they know how to do. You say, let it spoil. You want to get in to do something that you don't even know how to do. And when you cannot do it, you can't allow the person that knows how to do it to do it. That is an evil spirit. That kind of influence is coming from an evil spirit. And you cannot, you cannot by yourself deliver yourself from such a spirit. So, my dear friends, I'm saying that the people of Ambazonia, who at that time in the 1950s were in charge They made sure that everything about their people and everything that concerns their well-being, the moral uprightness of the people was a concern of everybody. That's why I can say it unequivocally that a child will leave school, come back home, the parents are still at work or still at the farm. The neighbor will take the child, clean up the child, give the child food, make the child to go sleep. And when the parents come, the neighbor will hand over the child to the parents. Can we have that today? It's practically almost impossible. Well, there are a few people who have a clean spirit, the Spirit of God, who can do that. But even then, they are very much suspected because the world in which we are living today, something has gone wrong. I mean, something has practically gone wrong with the society in which we are living. And because something is practically wrong with the society in which we are living, I want to let us know that our God has not changed and he will never change. And he's waiting for you. And of course, he knows your name. Now, let's listen to this and I'll be right back.
You know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name more than the air. You know me, you know my name. I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yeah. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Jesus, your love, now oh. My master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I
Yes,
turn around,
truly.
now you are
Every time I look around, now you are the sea because your love now one. And he has proven and shown his love to us, the people of Ambazonia. Well, my dear friends, like I was telling you, something went wrong. And this thing that went wrong right from the beginning. Because the only nation in the world that I have heard and I have read about the United Nations telling them to gain their independence by joining is Ambazonia. That's the only nation in the world. Yes, if we were to join to get our independence by joining, and they knew that we were two different kinds of people, and that we walked out of Enugu House of Chiefs, and they saw our lifestyle that Hamaja in late 1950s declared that telling us to gain our independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon will be like a balloon that is pushed under the water. Many people have heard this. I said, I am repeating history for us to know that from the beginning, if we were a part and parcel of the Republic of Cameroon, we would have had the independence with them on the same day. But they were independent in 1960, and we came following suit in 1961. Can a reasonable person who thinks not sit down and just imagine if these people had their independence by joining La Republique Cameroon on the 1st of October 1960, don't you think there is a problem there? Right there from the word go, there is a problem. So, what was the conditions of joining a nation that was totally independent, joining another nation to live together? And ambassadors, I want to tell you that some of you grew up, especially if you are less than 20 years old, you might not have actually heard of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, which was actually led by Russia. And so many countries, Czechoslovakia, so many little countries, Latin, they joined Russia to form the great USSR. I'm sure Ukraine was also there. But when the time came, these people with their different ethnicities, different ideologies, they decided to quit the union. And they quitted without a gunshot, without the shedding of blood. I also remember that when Senegambia was to separate when the Gambians were to separate from Senegal, we know the havoc that the French did. And recently we saw the French destroying vehicles, burning whatever they cannot carry back in their hometowns. I don't know whether in Mali or in Burkina Faso, one of those countries, to prove you their wickedness. And because their accord of cooperation that they signed, these countries have said no, because it was pure enslavement, of which La Republique is part of that enslavement. And they transfer it to us, the Amazonians, who do not speak that oppressive language, and try to force it down our throat. For 60 years, we have been patient, very, very patient, and just trying to breathe the little air that God has given to us in order to die at the end of the day. They do not even allow, they stifle us and try to sell even the air that God has given free to us, making us slaves in our own nation. In the words of our president, Dr. Samuel Sako, he says, recolonization on black colonization, or black on black colonization. As he rightly says, that the Britons, who are actually the architect, part of the architect of our plight, handing over their departure key to Amadou Ahidjo of the Republic of Cameroon, was an affront, and deceiving our parents into accepting a situation that today is bloodshed was a kind of a demonic plan by Britain, who started with God and they are ending up with Satan. I'm very ready to answer that, because that's what they are. Like I said, anybody who knows how to do good and doesn't do good, that person has an evil spirit. And so I want to say that a lot of people have evil spirits that are actually controlling them. And when you see them, you see a replica of Satan, because Satan is selfish, Satan is destructive, Satan is a thief, Satan is a killer. And so anybody who has these attributes or these aspects of his life is that kind of an agent or a vehicle upon whom, or the globes upon whom the devil is actually practicing its demonic and character in this life. Yes, the character of the devil is to destroy, is to tell lies. And as we have been saying, that the consciousness of the consensus people of the world, they have been gradually seared with a hot iron, that the cry of the simple, they don't hear it. What they hear now is the cry or the shout of somebody who can pay them. And unfortunately, some Ambazonians have also taken the suffering of our people as a business. There are some Ambazonians. I was asking the UN, one of my friends who is called UN, of a particular man who made a speech in 2002 concerning Ambazonia, letting La Republic know that we are going to fight. That was 2002, 14 years before this episode took off. I was asking, where is him? And he started telling me a story of the wickedness of the enemy of the people of Ambazonia. How that there are old people who foresaw this terrible situation in which we are, started paving ways to make sure that they dismantle it. And when they could not, they don't want to allow any other person to dismantle it, which is a shame and a very sad part of our story. I shall be talking about that. But today, I want to let Ambazonians know that the youths and the young people of Ambazonia, they got up and decided that this is a generation that will not take no for an answer. The deceit which some youths, whom I don't believe that they are very, very normal and natural, some mystical things have been done to keep them in bondage. Some of them are fleeing their homeland in their thousands just because La Republique has decided to use not only force but also juju upon the young men, deceiving them that they are building the future for them. Meanwhile, the ancestors, 70 years, 80 years, who cannot think for themselves, they are the ones at the helm of the nation. What do you think will become of that nation? Somebody was telling me a very sad story, which I believe because this individual is my sister. And she was saying that from Douala, La Republique's neighboring town, to our Fako County, from there to Victoria, there are potholes on that road. I mean, that is supposed to be a Trong-Air route. That's supposed to be a principal route linking cities, that there are potholes, and you must make a choice of one where your tire must fit into before you cross. It's so sad. It's so sad. Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia was not like that. We did not, from what I can remember, we did not have such potholes on the roads for long, because our roads were graded at least twice a year by the PWD, Public Works Department, that La Republique dismantled. Ambazonians, what we are talking about is what we have seen. We're not just telling stories. Our history is such a rich one. It could be next time when I'm coming up with this history, I will show you some of the archives. Recently, I saw a very powerful wharf, Tico wharf, where people ships used to anchor. And I'm told that people will leave Bamenda, Douala, Yaoundé, come and buy shoes and other things in Tico wharf to go and sell in the different places. People come and hang around the Tico airport to go and, the first airport in the southern Cameroons was in Tico. La Republic gradually, systematically closed it up. And today, he's using the very Ambazonian people whose head, whose reasoning faculties have been tainted, poisoned, taken off by La Republique's demonic party government, aided by France. La Republique actually is so demonized because you know that demons cannot live in very good places. I saw a street in Douala. I'm yet to confirm whether it was one of these days in this year 2023 in Dogbok in Douala, one of the main streets in Dogbok, very busy. It was a pool of water, it was like a swimming pool. And unfortunately, I saw one Okada man try to cross over with a lady, and the lady fell into the brownish water. What a shame. And the people are sitting down there with their conscience cool. The air-conditioned houses have limousines, porch cars with no roads to ride on it. Selfishness has made it in such a way that they don't even walk to repair the roads going to their own homes because neighbors will use it. That's to tell you how depraved and how terrible things are deteriorating. But Ambazonians, I want to let you know that we came out as Ambazonians to make sure that we show and make a difference. And it is increasingly becoming very clear that not all that say that they are Ambazonians are really Ambazonians. Because from very little things, we have discovered who some of these people actually are. My dear friend, well, I would like to tell you that our history must be repeated, and we will continue to repeat it, that we were not the same nation with La République du Cameroon. It has been sung, it has been whispered, it has been prayed, it has been preached, it has been said in every nook and corner. United Nations knows about it, European Nation knows about it, African Union knows about it. What we are asking them is to come, let's sit on the table, let them decode to us independence by joining. And if it doesn't work, like it did not work with the people of Czechoslovakia in Russia, as it did not work with the people of the islands, so many of them who separated from Russia, and they are now on their own. What is the difference? Why must we go through what we are going through? Well, you can make a difference as an Ambazonian, to be for the Ambazonian people and not for yourself. So it is at this point and at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, that I would like to end this broadcast, but will not end without letting you know that tomorrow, the 15th of November 2023, is a day that the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has declared to be a day of mourning for the massacres that La Republic has been carrying out on innocent civilians and not facing those who have guns like them. So the program will be starting at 3 p.m. Amba time till about 7 p.m. So if you don't have the link, please give me a shout and I will pass you the link, because we want everybody at home and abroad to be in that link so we can commemorate, we can mourn our people together. May God bless the people of Ambazonia, and see you not too long a distance from now, especially tomorrow. God bless.
Jesus, you said your love will cover me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I look around, now you are the pillow.